good.
Yes.
Thank you for that introduction. Okay, so also, I'd like to start with, good evening, everyone. And I'm going to go on to actually say it. And a lot of you guys actually started joining from 7 p.m., which is like 30 minutes before the scheduled time. So that's pretty flattering and scary at the same time because I want to live up to the expectation. So I've been thinking, let's take this session forward in two major ways. I would want this to be really interactive, right? Because I wouldn't want that we like all of us, just assemble and we spend like 1 hour out of our day, and then you go back feeling that you did not have a fruitful time, or you maybe missed something. So that wouldn't be good for any of us. So let's try and make this session interactive. I'm pretty sure that Professor Neelam will keep updating me regarding the questions that's there on YouTube, but at least the guys who are here, I'm constantly looking at the chat window as well, but I'd prefer if you guys, whenever you have a question or something, just unmute yourself and feel free if I'm not comprehensible, if I'm going too fast, too slow, or whatever it is, just feel free, let's take it on a slightly informal note. Okay, having said that, so right, this session is basically regarding my experiences and how we can, we as in undergrads can sort of move in the direction of, take our early steps in the direction of research. Now again, I will give another disclaimer before we begin. I am no research guru. I haven't written some books or anything on what research and how research is and stuff. I do have, I would say, a decent amount of experience with research, and I have collaborated with multiple professors over multiple universities. So everything which comes out in this session is going to stem directly or indirectly from my own experiences. And from my experience, it's been about 2.5 years, so I do feel that it's going to generalize pretty well, and most of us are going to gain something out of it. Okay, so I suppose all of you guys would have so let's start with what basically is the difference between, say placements and research. So I suppose most of you guys would have a general idea of what placements is. Now I'm from an engineering college, so I'm sort of taking it for granted. If there is anyone who does not have an idea, no, please speak up. That's completely fine. And if you guys don't, I'll just assume that you do. So in placements, you see, we have colleges usually provide us with committees, and you have companies with generic job descriptions that they want some XYZ person in some ABC field who knows, say, these tools, these skills, and stuff like that, and you apply, and they maybe take a few tests and stuff, and things, and then they take you or not take you. So that's what happens. Now, why is this different with research? Is basically, so you think of it in this way: someone who is, say, working in a company like, say, Morgan & Stanley in Bangalore, to someone who's working in New Delhi. If they're on the same field, if they're on the same position in the company, they'll probably be doing more or less the same thing. Like, I'm from a computer science background, so I'm going to use such examples. Someone who's there, say, who's a software developer is probably going to use the same concepts and same sort of knowledge, and his work or his or her work is going to, look pretty much the same everywhere. Now, this thing does not scale to research at all. This is basically where the difference, in research comes, and that is with the individuality of the work. Now, someone, say, in the material science lab in IIT Delhi is probably not going to be doing anything, or it might be that they are, but it might be the case that they're not doing anything similar to, say, someone in the same lab in, say, IIIT Hyderabad or some other institute. So research sort of brings individuality, right? It's your work, it's the lab's work, it's the professor's own work, and to sort of contribute, you have to contribute within their work. You cannot just show up with a general set of skills and hope, that a professor is going to pick you. Instead, you have to sort of know their field. So that brings us on how do we start with actually approaching research. So here again, companies are not going to approach you you won't have a placement committee or something which is going to come for you. You have to take this burden on in your own hands, and you have to start looking for professors and looking into fields. So great. I'll be, in case I'm speaking very fast or very slow, if it's not comprehensible, and if in case someone's feeling shy, just leave a message in the chat box at so-and-so. No, I'll just say that once more. Okay, anyway. So that brings us on to how do we actually go on and try and find professors. So I am in my 4th year of undergrad right now. This is my last year, and I am like 21, and I suppose most of the population out here is of the same age. So I'll say don't be too picky that I have done X, Y, and Z things in the past, and so I must apply in those X, Y, Z fields only, because like we're all very young here, right? We just had a couple of years of college experience at Max, and we have done like 15-20 courses, right? And a lot of times those courses are not even convergent. The courses are in a lot of different fields. So basically, no one's going to expect you to sort of come in there with a lot of knowledge or something like that. Sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, basically no one's going to expect you to come up with a lot of, say, domain knowledge or background knowledge that you just walk into the lab and do ground shattering work. No one's going to expect that. Instead, what professors usually look for is the willingness of the candidate to work, and the genuine interest that the candidate has in their field. And I'll be very honest, the professors do know how, if you're actually genuinely interested in their field or not. Like from a personal example, I switched to the field of computational neuroscience, and I honestly did not have a very good background in neuroscience. But just out of interest, out of general reading and stuff, you go on, and I try to approach a few professors, and I try to tell them that, see, I know this, but I'm very interested in your field, and I'm pretty sure that will sort of end up in them giving you a shot. So how do you find professors? So I'll say at this time, you just look at think about the general fields that you're interested in. It can be anything, okay, and it can stem from anything. Maybe you follow a blog post regarding, or maybe you follow some science magazine or something like that. Okay, wait, there's a question. What's the approach you need to look forward in the research field, since you have had more comprehensive with the theory till now? How shall we look into another dimension? Okay, I am not sure that I get that question. Would you unmute yourself? If you're comfortable, would you unmute yourself, and could you try to...
Amogh, when we request you to loudly read the question when you are reading the questions, chat box questions, and students, please unmute you and ask the question. The student who has asked the question, please unmute and discuss. Good evening, sir. So I was having the question that what's approach of looking into some field? Like till now we have been more comprehensive in the field of theory, like not been much indulged into the experimental work, since we had been just crossed the first year itself. So we just now want to know the another dimension we can look forward to the research field.
Okay, I'll just like to clarify once more. By experimental work, do you mean like carrying out experiments in labs, or do you mean like practical work, which is like the fact that you've actually read theory till now and you want to look at stuff in more practical sort of setting?
The practical work, sir, for sure.
Right.
The practical work.
Okay, so where does that come in is actually when you go out to read. So theory can only give you sort of a background, right? Because most of the books and stuff that you will be following at Max, they'll be written, say, a decade ago. And with the fast-paced research life today, most of that work has already become outdated, or most of that has, already have had, say, 100 different labs, if not thousands or maybe more, working on it already. So the way you sort of switch into the practical domain is by reading research papers. Now, one very good way of doing that is either you find a domain that you're interested in, or you find a professor, or say, an XYZ professor, and you like their domain. Say, there's this professor who's working, say, on dynamical modeling, and you really like his work. So what you can do is you just go on to you just Google the professor's name, go on to Google Scholar, sort their papers in descending order with time. Now you try to see what have they worked in, say, right now, if I have to look, I'll try to look on what they have worked in from 2019 to 2020. What papers have come out in this time? So this is going to be the work which is, actually being used in practice right now. Most of the times, at least in the computer science field, what I have experienced is even the work which is of, say, 2015 is pretty much irrelevant to us. And that is how fast-paced the research field is. And I'm not very sure on how this goes on, with respect to your field, but I suppose you get the idea. So you go on to these professors' Google Scholar pages, or, just try to sort the paper in descending order, and then you try to read the paper. The theory which you have been learning, it's not like it's not useful or something. In order to understand those research papers, that is where the theory actually comes in. That is where the books and terminologies, they actually make a difference. Now, when you read a research paper, what happens is, if say you start reading a research paper and suddenly you in one paragraph you just see 50 words, which you don't even know what they even mean. So that's going to lead to you basically be that's going to take a toll on your morale, and that actually sometimes it actually makes a big difference to you actually liking a field or maybe understanding a field, to you actually being like, okay, I don't want to do anything with this field. So that is where your books and other things come in. Now, there's also an art to actually reading research papers. It's not that, again, these research papers are work of labs which have been working in a field for years. Most of these professors are past the age of 40, 50, and they've been working in that domain for 20 years. So when you open a research paper, okay, when anyone opens a research paper, do not expect that you are going to get everything, line by line, word by word, and just in one shot you're going to understand like everything what they have done and stuff. Because that's literally a accumulation of years and years of work of a full team, right? So how do you actually read a research paper? I suppose everyone would have looked at least at some point, looked at a few research papers, right? If that's not the case, you can just say that. That's also fine, but I suppose everyone would have at least had a look at a research paper and how it's structured. So you'll see the first paragraph is the abstract. Now, what does the abstract of a research paper actually tells you? The abstract is a very simple, an abstract is often written for a layman who's not very familiar in, with the actual research work. An abstract is going to contain of what work has been done in this field, would that research paper feel about that work, what do the authors of that research paper think that can be bettered, what they have done to better it, and what results have they gotten. On a general level, all sorts of abstracts are going to have this structure, and the exact semantics might differ, but generally everything is going to be arranged like that, and it's pretty understandable to all of us. So I would say try to do that. If you're just fascinated by a field, okay, not that you have a lot of experience, but there is some XYZ field which is very fascinating to you. Pick up a few research papers of which have been published in the past 2 years, 3 years. Just go through their abstracts and nothing else. Just go through their abstracts. Try and get the feel of what work in that research domain looks like, without actually going into everything. The second thing would be, after the abstract, you go towards the introduction. Now, the way I like to do it is, I actually like to spend a lot of time on there. Introduction is going to give you a slow picture of why do the author this work, what makes this work valuable, how work in that domain looks like, and what actually have the authors gone on to do. Obviously, the introduction by nature is a little more technical than the abstract, but it gives you a nice, again, because of it being more detailed, it gives you a better feel of what the work is. I'll say spend your time on that section. Ideally, maybe if say you can actually go on and maybe make extensive notes. Now that is something which is very personal to me. That helps me. So that's what I'm gonna say. Okay, where do we get them to study? Okay, I suppose you're asking about research papers. Of where do you get the research papers to study? Right. So I think most of you guys will have an account which is related with BHU. Most of these journals and a lot of these research papers should you can get more details about that from Professor Neelam, and I suppose there are other ways as well.
Mr. Amogh, I just want to interrupt here. Students, please ask me regarding this. I will let you know that how to contact your teacher for the research papers. Okay? Amogh, you continue with other things.
Yes, I think you guys must be having, right, so yeah, like Professor Neelam said, your access to research papers won't be a problem. So once you get that research paper, you start with a lot of abstracts. You start with the abstracts for multiple of such papers, and then you try to dive in deeper by going in the introduction of each one of them. Ideally, in your first round, you should not look any deeper than the abstract, introduction, and the end result. The reason is that oftentimes the methodology and the related work sections, they contain highly technical, and not just highly technical, they contain details which is highly individual to that one paper. Right, so a lot of times it can happen that you actually spend a lot of time in understanding the methodology discussed in a paper, but that doesn't even scale at all. That's gonna only tell you how that one paper worked with. So that does not, obviously once you actually localize your domain and you find a research paper which you really like, you obviously go on with all those stuff. But yeah, when you're trying to get a feel for what research is and what the work is, don't do all those stuff. Stick with abstract, introduction, and domain, and result. Another very good practice is whenever you're done, okay, just once you're done with the research paper, take a walk, maybe just close all of those things. Take a walk, close your eyes, think of what actually was said in that research paper. Think of it in the form of a story. Like, did that actually make sense? Was the problems that were discussed and addressed in the research paper actually problems? Like, are you actually able to understand them or recognize them as problems? Like, if a research paper says that I'm sorry for this, but I just have computer science examples. So if a research paper says, say, that there is some sort of an algorithm which runs in which takes, say, 10 hours to run, and they are proposing a method in which it just takes 1 hour to run. Just think of it that, does it make sense for that algorithm to actually be made faster, or is it something that you're not able to understand, or is it a problem that you do not actually see in real life? This is something which is actually going to help you think in terms of research, right? Because the moment you try to identify or relate to the problems which are already discussed, you will be able to identify newer problems when you read these research papers. Another thing which is a good practice is, whenever you're done reading a research paper, try and write say a 2 or 3 paragraph summary for it. That will actually help you with a lot of things. That'll help you with retaining what the work is. That'll help you with retaining what the keywords in that domain is, which actually does go on to play a huge role, because that is something which is very important, right? The keyword used in that domain, if you do not have a very good feel for the keywords used in that domain, then research paper after research paper, you just keep struggling. So once you have a good, can pure life science be helpful in this, or else we need combination? Okay, no, I do not think that you need a combination of, or any knowledge of computer science. Yeah, computer science has become very relevant. Again, there are a lot of labs. There are many labs which probably would not have to do anything with computation. But yes, okay, now the thing is, like, again, and especially since the past 7 months with everything going online and everything, being affected by the pandemic and labs and all being shut down, computation, it is fair to say that it is becoming more and more relevant. I wouldn't say that you need computer science or, knowledge of, computational analysis per se. Like, it's not a necessity, but it's definitely a good idea to have it in any domain. It does scale that well, and I think it's not actually that hard. You don't have to be a computer scientist per se. You do not need to know the intricate details of how you write programs or how you write amazingly efficient programs or things like that. But a general idea on how you can, get a theory or a fact and get it to run on your computer, that does help a lot. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. So coming back. So this is how you read research papers, right? Once you have, say, read a few research papers and things like that, you will actually have a better idea of so once you have read a number of research papers, say it's 20, 30, 50, a few names, you see a few professors or a few labs names, a few institutes names which appear again and again in those research papers. Now that is actually one very good way on how you can actually go on to find the institutes or professors that you want to contact. So if you say you have read a research paper, say 30 times, say you have read 30 research papers, and maybe 5 or 7 of them came from one lab or one research group, it's a good idea that you go and try and search about that research group. And most of that searching is very, it's very trivial. It boils down to, just you type the name of the research group on Google. They'll probably, almost all research groups today have a website. Do go on their websites. Whenever you're contacting a professor, a research group, please do go on their website. On their website, they'll have a lot of things. The things which are important for you would be, what does that research group do? So that will usually be listed in the form of research work or research interest or something like that. That is very important to you, on what that research group is actually doing. Because a lot of times what can happen is, say you read research papers of a research group, and those papers were, say, from 2012 or 2014, and now that research group is actually working on something very, very different. So it's very important whenever you go to the website or whenever you contact a research group, you do have an idea of what they are working on currently. Second thing is, most of these times these research groups have an apply section on their website. So in this apply section, they'll clearly state whether on how you can apply. So a lot of times research groups have that for example, they'll be like, if graduates have to apply, they have to send an email to this XYZ person in this ABC format. Definitely stick to that if there is anything like that. Okay, that is your job. That is where your job comes in. Whenever you're applying to someone, you have to go on their website. You have to find out what they want, in what format they want. A lot of these research groups or professors individually, they have even these things specified, right? That what is the subject of your email? What should be the subject of your email? And it becomes very important because because whenever you're applying to a good research group or a very renowned professor, that guy probably would be getting, say, thousands of emails every day, and obviously he or she does not have the time to go through all those emails. In fact, most of these emails, they have a very draconian system of how they handle spam, and most of these emails are going to end up in spam unless you are very careful about how to structure your email. So whenever you have these things on research, mentioned that how you have to apply, stick to that. If in case you do not have it, if in case second thing would be, if in case say a research group says that we are not accepting undergrads, then unfortunately in that case you cannot do much. You have to accept defeat at that front, and just move on with the next research group. Don't think that you'll maybe write a very good email, or you'll send your CV or something, and it's just gonna charm them and win them over. That's not gonna happen. It's probably gonna irritate them. So if they have written that do not apply to them, make sure that you actually don't. If they omit it altogether, if they do not write, like what to do for undergrads, then what you can do is then don't take it as you don't have to apply. Then you should definitely apply. Okay, the emphasis more on our interest area or on our previous academic performance. Yes, exactly. So I would say that the emphasis is definitely on an interest area. Having said that, okay, it's not. See, thing is, on your academic performance. Okay, so see, that is a plus. Okay, the best scenario for you would be that you have a number of courses with good grades in a particular domain, and then you're applying in the same domain. That is going to be like the ideal scenario. Having said that, if you have to choose between your interest and your previous experience, do go with your interest, because most of these research relationships are actually long term. So like the professors which I have been working with since say March, I'm still working with them, and I'll probably be working with them for maybe the next one entire year. So if I actually go on just with so if I actually choose to sacrifice my interest there, it is actually going to impact the sort of work that I am going to produce, and that sooner or later is going to be visible. So I will definitely say that go with your interest, put that above your academic experience, and especially since you are undergrads, right? You're 21. You guys are from physics. I think most of you, so you must know that Lagrange probably produced something extraordinary when he was 19. But having said that, no one's expecting that from us. No one expects us to have a lot of, previous background knowledge or, a lot of experience. They just want that you should be more of, you should be dedicated towards what you're going to work with. You should be the one to take initiatives. Again, having again said that as well, your interest doesn't mean that, maybe you watched a TV series or maybe you watched a few TEDx videos or TED videos and you're like, oh yeah, this field is just very cool and I'll just start finding, professors in this field and I'll start applying. No, it's not like that. You have to do some sort of background research. For that, if you have an interest in that area, you do go on to read, say, 10, 15 research papers in that field. You actually get an idea of that field, and then is when you actually apply to these professors. Okay, so next thing is, once you have sort of read a few research papers in the domain, once you have found a professor to apply, the next thing would be, how do you talk to them? So how would you initiate your contact with the professor? Of course, if you can do it face to face, I would say that is amazing. That is the best thing. If you can actually walk into their office, let's definitely do go for that over everything else. But in most cases, especially with the current pandemic, even I would say that this might even apply to cases where you're applying inside your own city. Your first point of contact will come through an email. Now, your email should be structured in a manner that your professor actually, do the emails on our particular interest must be specific and brief or elaborate and not detailing, for acceptance or, I'll just go through how exactly your email should be. So, first things first, your email should not be in the form of very long essays, No one wants to read a 5-paragraph or say 7-paragraph essay, a 1,000-word essay. No one's gonna take that no one's gonna take that time out of their day to read random emails. And especially, do remember, these professors are getting hundreds of emails or maybe every day. So they do not have the time to read every single email. You have to be you have to maintain you have to be on a sweet point where you're brief, but you also are able to tell them that what you have to offer and the fact that you're actually interested in their work. So I would say that ideally you should make a 3 to 4 paragraph email. The first paragraph should be on who you are. Start with say I am XYZ. I would start with, say, I am Amogh. I am a 4th year student of this XYZ institute and I am pursuing this degree. So you So in the first line, it is clear who you are, what you know, what degree do you have, which college you're from. Second line should be straight to the point that I am writing to you for this thing, whether it's for a research internship, whether it's because maybe you want to apply for some project with them or whatever. On the second line, be straight on point that this is what I want to apply to you for. Then you can start to try and tell them why you want to apply to them, right? Because every professor would, even though this is the okay, short and straightforward. So I think it would be, it should not be very short or straightforward, like just don't be like that I am this and I want to apply to this and be like, okay, then this regards and thank you. Not that short, but yeah, it has to be brief. Storytelling doesn't really work. Okay, so after you've done that, in the second paragraph, what you write is, why are you interested in their work? So you tell them what made you interested in their, and again, don't write 3 or 4 paragraphs or like, even 3 or 4 lines. Just write 1 or 2 lines. I read these XYZ research papers. I found these XYZ concepts interesting. Now, these are very important things, okay? When you say that you found XYZ concepts interesting, that actually sends in 2 messages. First is that you are actually interested in the field. Second is that you actually read the research papers and you actually are familiar with the concepts that you can actually go on to name them. If you instead, another way of writing this would be that I read, you just write the name of the research paper, that I read this research paper and I found that interesting, but then it does send out the message that you might have just copied the name of the research paper, but that's not that impactful. The best thing would be that if you could maybe name an interesting concept or an interesting idea that you found in the research paper and just write that I found this XYZ concept very interesting. And then you can tell them that because I found that interesting and I have a loose background or I have a very strong background in that domain, I would like to work with you. Again, the third, so these are your first 2 paragraphs. First is who you are, why you want to contact them. Second is why you want to work in that field. Third paragraph would be why would you want to work in with that professor or with that particular research group. Now, I'll be honest, okay, none of us is going to, apply to just one professor, just 2 professors. All of us are going to probably, in my second year and third year, I sent out emails to 200 or 250 professors in total. So that is something that does happen, but still, no professor would like to know that, they're just part of a, bulk emailing procedure or something like that. How shall we know the relevant websites for the research paper? So I think either we can take that offline or...
sorry to interfere. Just continue with your main concepts first and then you take the questions. Now, I think that, or as you wish. If you think that question, replying the question right important, then okay. Otherwise, I think that if you want to continue with your presentation, then you continue and then discuss the questions. As you wish.
Okay. I'll just be very brief. How to get relevant. Okay, everything about accessibility to the research papers, I think that is very individual to your own institute. So I know how to get research papers on what research papers I have access to in my institute. So that is something that I won't be able to help you with. But again, that is something that Professor Neelam will be able to help you with very nicely. So I suppose you can take it with her offline or maybe after the meeting. What would be the exact heading for the subject so the professor, just by reading it, they check on me. Okay, again, a lot of that is a very interesting question, and a lot of things go on to it. So what I do is when I have to say I have to apply for a research internship in 2021 for the summer of 2021. So I'll go on with the subject prospective summer research intern 2021 in brackets May to July or whatever. Having said that, a lot of these and now this is going to depend from institute to institute. A lot of these institutes do have spam filters and things like that, which maybe will just shoot your email down even if you have the words intern or something like that into it. So all of those are individual, and it comes with experience. In my personal experience, this prospective summer research intern 2021 and things like that, this phrase has worked well for me, so I sort of go with that. But yeah, again, it should not be a very big line. It should ideally be like 5 to 6 words. Okay, so you think of it this way. Think of it in the most adverse scenario possible. Think that the professor does not even have the access to a laptop when he or she receives your email. Say that the professor is on a cell phone. So your email, if your say subject line is 30 words or 40 words that he or she actually has to scroll on his cell phone, you probably have already missed your chance. So it should ideally be say 5 words, 7 words, and very direct on what you want to do, because they're not going to read a story anyway. So being direct is usually the way to go. So having said that, okay, now the third paragraph, So the third paragraph of the email, that is going to contain why you want to work with that research group. For that, you go to the research group and you try to see who the research leader is. On any group's website, you'll find the research team. You'll find a team section. In the team section, you'll have a list of students which are involved, a list of say junior professors, and then there'll be a research leader. There can be cases where there are more than one research leaders, but usually there's just one group leader. You take the group leaders, you search the group leader on Google Scholar. Then you try to, again, same thing. You try to look at his papers in a descending order, and then you try to see what has that research group leader done in the recent past. What research papers what research topics has he worked on in 2020, in 2019? Then you go on to study that. If you actually happen to like that, then this is what your third paragraph ideally forms, that these are the things that I read, these are the things which I found really interesting and really fascinating from your research work, and that is why I want to, that is where I want to work with your research group. Is any documents are required, like academic results or certificates? Yeah. So again, so what I usually do is I send, okay, so you guys must be having a resume. If you guys don't, please do make it. And again, this is like a sort of tangential note. If you guys have not made a resume and you're going to make it, do make it on LaTeX. It's going to be much easier for you to, iteratively keep editing your resume over the next few years. Apart from emails, which may be a lot for them and similar, what all do they check or see in us for accepting a request? So yeah, that's the point, right? They do not say if you're applying to a professor from here who's in Delhi, who's in Mumbai, or maybe even further away, who's in Germany or who's in Belgium, you don't have, like, they don't know you, right? They cannot. So your email has to be so tight, and your email has to be framed in a manner that they feel that everything that they would need to know about a person, or at least everything that would intrigue them enough that they would want to talk to you on a Skype call or on a phone call, everything like that should be in that email, because you cannot really present the kind of person you are to a professor who's say thousands of miles away from you. And that is where emails and things like this become very important. So in your email, once you have written the email, who you are, what do you want from them, why do you like that field, why do you want to work with that professor, usually I just send in my resume, but you can obviously send in your resume and your transcript. Again, general pointers, if say your grading is from 10 and your grades are not very good, then obviously do not send your transcript. Don't send something that is going to harm your, harm the purpose of your contact. But say if the grading is from 10 and you've got say something like 9.5 or 9.7, or you can say that you're the institute topper or something like that, then yeah, definitely go on, do attach it with your email. Because you want them to sort of have a picture of who you are and what your skills and abilities are. So your resume and transcript are the two things which sort of portrays that. Even then, please refrain from the the feeling of lying on your resume, because that is not at all going very far. Maybe you can put, say, 10 things on your resume that I know this and I know that, and a lot of XYZ stuff. But at the end of the day, when the professor is actually going to contact you or things like that, it will come up that if it does come up that you do not do that, do not actually know these things, not only will you be blocked, there is a good chance that your entire institute might be blocked. The professor might even end up putting the institute's email account as spam, and that does happen, and you'll probably end up harming yourself and your institute's image. So please don't lie on your resume. Definitely don't try to lie on your transcript or manipulate your transcript. Please do not do that. That is never a good idea. Okay, so apart from the emails, can you give some idea about format of resume? Which type of resume is best for us? In terms of resume for research, I think the resume should not be more than 1.5 to 2 pages. Again, same thing, no one wants to read too much about random people. Try to put important things up front. On your first page, don't put extracurricular, don't put that you have done karate when you were, say, 17 years old or things like that. Put your past research experiences should be highlighted. If you have research publications, that should be highlighted. Your course projects which you felt that are really nice, that should be highlighted. The courses that you have done, this is very important. The courses that you have done, this should definitely be there, because that is how the professor gets the idea of what background do you have. So the courses that you have done in the past, and then you can slowly come on to your achievements. If you have if you've done any internships in the past, if you have, say, been in the dean's merit list, if you have or even if you have taken part into clubs and all, your extracurricular, if you have headed a club, if you organized some things, I mean, it's always a good idea to put those things. Again, the ratio should be taken care of. It shouldn't be like that your resume is 20% research related, 20% academics, and 80% extracurricular. So that is not going to look nice. It should be 80% academics, and then you put 20% extracurricular. Be a little judicious about what you're putting in extracurricular. I wouldn't say that people would like to know what you did when you were 12 or 13 years old. If you did something, if you organized something, if you worked with an NGO or things like that in the recent past, do put that would help, and that would sort of also give the idea that you are a responsible person. So yeah, that would help. Why would any research team or professor prefer any fresher over someone who has some better experience, and then how can we make our way? Yeah, good point. Again, so the answer for that is a little disappointing. So that is why you must see that it's usually the seniors who get research internships much easier. So if you are applying to, say, a professor, and your immediate senior with more experience is applying to the same professor, it's almost, say, an 80-20 in that other person's favor. Having said that, the professors are also interested in working with freshers and juniors, because if they feel that these freshers actually bring in that sort of an enthusiasm. So if you and the thing is that there's also this thing that being a fresher, you are more open to doing different things in your lab, and it is sort of informally expected that your work ethic would be better than the more experienced counterparts. So if you're actually able to convince a professor that you are so interested that you're going to put in the amount of work for my own self on how much where is that sweet point between grades and interest. But definitely there is a sweet point, and again, as I said, grades matter. Grades just do matter for something, for your research, for your higher studies, as for your PhD, for your masters. So do not sacrifice on grades. Okay, maybe you don't need to get a perfect 10, maybe you don't need to get an institute rank 1, though that'll be awesome if you do, but maybe you don't need to do that. But as a thumb rule, yeah, do not let it go to the south of 9. So 9 is like that sort of like a pseudo barrier which is there. As a thumb rule, always try that you get north of 9 and you get A's in at least your technical courses. So if you want to apply to a lab which is working in physics, so make sure that every subject, that is every course that you've taken which is related directly or indirectly to physics, in that you don't get a B- or a C, right? So you have to find your own sweet point where you can balance that. There's no right or wrong answer to it, but yeah, as a thumb rule, don't let your grade fall down, because a lot of times you won't even you won't even get to the stage where you can showcase your interest if your grades are down. Maybe they'll just on an initial level they'll just filter people out on the basis of grades. So I know I'm stressing this enough, and I am also a college student like all of you. I hate this, but honestly, grades are very important when it comes to research. So you just cannot compromise on that. Okay. So when you're writing a statement of motivation, so how you do it is you try to think of what actually motivated you to finding that field interesting. It can be the initial papers that you read. It can be maybe say some webinar that you attended, maybe some conference that you attended, maybe a professor that you talked to about on that XYZ field. Just write down in your first attempt of writing the statement of purpose, just write down a lot of points, maybe 20 points, 30 points. Write down on what is it that is relevant to you and the field, and that sort of brings both the things together. Ideally, a statement of purpose should be a page or a page and a half at max. Definitely do not let it cross 2 pages, because as I've said it again and again, no one wants to read huge essays. So make it 1.5 pages. Put it into like structure it properly, make it into paragraphs, and every paragraph should ideally address one point. What you find interesting about that research, why you find that research interesting, what have you done in your past, which is related or unrelated to that domain, maybe related or unrelated to research in general. And then finally, what would you how would you be the best person to make use of this opportunity? So if you actually get to go, if you're applying for any grant or any such research opportunity, it is basically an organization who's going to pay for you to go and do research. So you have to give them a good, reason on why should they splash their money on you. Basically you doing research, and why should that organization be paying for that. So you have to convince them that if you are selected, you're competent enough that you'll be able to bring a positive difference, and things like that. Because it is not necessary that if you're not able to get good grades like 9, then you're not interested in research. That's why I want to say grades are important, or our grades. I just want to say that practical some in theory, so maybe our interest should be. Okay, unofficially, I would say that I agree with you, but I am not going to. Just by sheer experience, this is not something that. Ruchi, I would say that your argument is based on what is correct and incorrect, and again that takes it into a completely different realm. Okay, that is a very philosophical debate of whether your grades should matter or where it should matter and things like that. I, at least for the purpose of this meeting, do not want to get into that. Maybe we can take this offline sometime. It's formed for an interesting debate, but from my experience, what I can say is this is how it is. Okay, grades are important. You can convince. I mean, you won't be able to unfortunately convince the research organizations or these these places who are actually at the end of the day whose decision it is to whether or not they want to take a student. Again, I have met people who have who do not have good grades, but who actually went on to do very good research. And and you're very correct. Say if you have if you are very focused into say the practical aspects of it, if you say you choose to put a lot of time into say practical research, that you actually compromise on your grades, and at the end of the day you don't have good grades, but you maybe have very good projects to show for. So that is going to, so yeah, people are going to consider that. Okay, it is okay. I'm not want to say that. I just want to say that we will not select it only due to some little bit low grades. Right. Okay. So there is. See, the thing is, so a lot of these places they just put caps. Okay. They put. So what I'm saying is whatever I'm saying is based on experience.
May I come in?
Sure, yeah, sure.
Just I want to reply that okay, what Amogh is talking about is about some big fellowships. Well-known fellowships, and for that grade is very important. But you can join some internship or something if unfortunately you are having a low grade. You can join some Indian internships and you can start from there and then do good job, good research output, and then you can have a better options. I think if Amogh, please comment. Am I correct?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Most of these existing fellowship opportunities, they just put a cap on the grade. Okay, so if they have put a cap, say on 8.5, and you end up with an 8.49, then you will just be filtered out, and that is, again, I'll say that is unfortunate, but that is how it is. So you have to make sure that you do have that minimum threshold of grade. Having said that, again, as ma'am mentioned, and again, as I've seen in my experience, there are a lot of people who do not even have a grade of, I would say, who have grades in 6s and 7s, but who actually went on to do amazing work, and that is very, very possible. But the thing is that, again, when you are contacting a professor or when you are sending out your CV, what you have on your CV is your grades and your previous experience. So in order to reach that position where you can actually show them or convince them with your interest and your hard work and things like that, you need to have that bare minimum of GPA. Like GPA as of combined semesters, or else no, it's always of combined semesters. I do not see where they'll be interested only for the last semester. So I personally have not come across any scenario where they just ask for this GPA of your last semester. It's usually your cumulative GPA. So that is till the so if you're a third year student, it will be like the cumulative of your 4 or 5 semesters, whatever you have. Okay. Right. So having said that, and so with the statement of motivation, yeah, be very careful with the statement of motivation. Jot down like 30-35 points. Okay. Should we explain our idea about how we could help in the research, or we need to be very specific about what we found out interesting about their work when we send out respective emails? I would say that if you actually do get an idea, which in which if you do have an idea where you feel that if that how you can contribute to the research work, then that is like probably the best thing. But I would say that is easier said than done. It's very hard when you actually, because again, these guys are doing some like most of these labs are doing pretty comprehensive and complete work. Obviously there can be something that that just struck you and might not have struck them or whatever, and if you do actually get an idea where you can improve, or you can sort of comment on that, you can just, this is how I can contribute to your work, then that is very good. But I would say that it won't happen every day. So on a general rule of thumb, you sort of talk about what you found interesting in the emails. But yeah, if you feel like you can contribute, do go forward. Do mention that.
Amogh, may I request you one thing? Because I have already used more than 1.5 hour. So it will be better if you share your number with them. you allow me to share your number with them because I am having your number. So if you allow me, I will share your number and so that they can call you individual for the individual questions. And if you continue with the other important facts within the next 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll just try to wrap it up. Yeah, as ma'am said, probably you can, ma'am will share my number with you and you can probably just ping me on WhatsApp or something and I'll answer whatever questions you have there. Because since I've already taken a long time. Okay, so yeah, statement of motivation, you go on, you write, your first draft should be that you write just 30 points, 35 points, 40 points on why you feel that, you are very suitable for that research. Then you try to structure it into paragraph. Don't do that, you have a submission or you have say a deadline of an internship opportunity at 12 a.m. and you start at 6 p.m. The previous day on your statement of motivation. Never do that. Make it a habit that you at least give yourself maybe 1 week of time so that you can give 2 or 3 days only to your statement of motivation. First day you just note down the points, second day you structure it, third day you reread it, you restructure it, and and it's also a good idea to get a view of other people, on any sort of write-up that you have, because a lot of times when we write such write-ups, we have a very aligned chain of thought, and we sort of tend to get lost into it. Like we have looked at something for so long that we start looking at it from only one perspective. So it's good. It's a good idea to ask maybe your family members, your friends, or anyone to have a look at it if they can read, so they can maybe bring in some other perspective on what message does your write-up actually give. After that, your letter of recommendation. Again, a rule of thumb: do give a professor at least 15 days, to write a letter of recommendation for you. Do go to a professor who actually knows you, right? If a professor does not actually know you, they might not give you a letter of recommendation, or even worse, they might give you a generic letter of recommendation. And trust me, it is very visible when a letter of recommendation is generic. That is, like, you do not want that. You would not want such a letter of recommendation to go where a professor, sort of just, you would not want someone to, just sort of endorse your resume or your CV on your letter of recommendation. Instead, you would want to go to a professor who actually knows you, who has worked with you closely, on whose course maybe you took a lot of initiatives, maybe you performed very well, maybe you got a very good grade, or maybe you worked with that professor offline, maybe in summer projects, I don't know, maybe you used to talk to that person about their research in their room or anything like that. Anyway, that the professor knows that you're a willing student who is interested to go to that professor in order to take your letter of recommendation, because again, these things become very important. It's a good idea, I would say, to start on your statement of motivation today itself, or as soon as you can, because this is the time when most of these research opportunities come in. So it's going to be I think INSA has a last date of 30th of November, and these research opportunities are going to be here from November all the way to February or March. So it's a good idea if you begin with your letter of motivation and broad things like that, and then when you're applying for a specific scholarship, you can just sort of rephrase things, and I mean, if you can just use your initial well-written format into sort of you can just fine-tune and use it there. You won't have to spend again 2 or 3 days repeatedly. So that would be a good idea. Other than that, a few more things to note when you are applying to professors or when you are emailing. So again, these are more or less thumb rules that I have learned from my experience. So for example, whenever I'm applying to a professor, do not apply on Friday nights or Saturdays or Sundays. There's a good chance that if you apply, on a Saturday, then probably that guy would have gotten that. Probably that person would not see your email on that day, and by the time it's Monday, that guy would have gotten like 20 different emails, and your email would be buried somewhere, between, like beneath those 20 emails, so that's going to be bad. So email them on Mondays and Monday through Fridays on working days, and obviously like general things, don't email them on a holiday. Another good thing would be to try and email them at 9 a.m. or around 9:30 a.m. or whenever you feel that they are coming to they actually come to college, or the time when their day starts. So your email sort of is like the first thing which they get on that day, so it's right at the top. So just a thumb rule that so that your email does not get lost with other emails. So when I've been applying to professors, say if I'm applying to a professor who's in, for example, who's in Switzerland. So Switzerland is around, I think, 3.5 hours behind us. So I would ideally send an email. I would curate the email last night, and I'll send that email at 12:30 p.m. so that email reaches the professor at 9 a.m. sharp. So these are a few things which I did find were useful. How to fill that application form? Can you give some idea about that? So I think the application form. Okay, I've not looked. Application forms from for different internships are usually different. But I just mentioned a few things which are common across all of these things, which are your statement of purpose, your LOR, and your resume. Other than that, I think other thing would be very personalized for that particular internship. So like I am not sure on. Do you want to ask about any particular application? Okay. Okay, like you can take your time. If you're asking for any particular application, if I have come across that in my past experiences, then I can tell you about it. But other than that, other things, apart from statement of motivation, LOR, and resume, it depends from application to application on what they want. So there's no generic thing which, there's no one size fits all sort of thing. Right. So I guess, so yeah, we talked about emailing professors, reading research papers, how do you write statement of motivation, LORs, and things like that. Is there anything else that anyone would want to ask? I am... okay, this wasn't the... Okay, apart from our honor subject, if we found interest in any other topics, so can we be able to do research on that? Yeah, I would say definitely you will be able to do research on a topic. Oh, so it's going to be harder, okay. So it's going to take initiative from your side. You will have to go out and you will have to take time out from your coursework and actually study the other subject, gain an idea of how research is done in that other subject. But other than that, yeah, there is nothing stopping you from, switching your subject or switching your domains. So, like I am in a core computer science institute, and we do not have anything of neuroscience in our entire institute, and still I have pursued research in computational neuroscience for about a year now. So yeah, there is absolutely nothing which is stopping you, but yeah, provided that you are willing to take the time out from your course and actually go on and get a good knowledge of the other topic whichever you're interested in is. If there is an overseas research, what's the mode of carrying out the research work? Like we need to go to the particular country or other possibilities. So usually it's you going to the other country, and that's actually very good. So that brings a lot of things. You get to experience a different culture. You get to experience different labs. You get to experience how people work with and how they discuss research topics and things like that. So that has been the primary way of how overseas research internships work. And if you probably are, say, if you're going for something which has a lot of practical work involved, say, I don't know, for example, if your work has to do with positron emission tomography of basically, if you have to do something with, where you, I don't know, dissect a rat or something. So if you have to do some physical work, then you are necessarily required to go there. But if you are doing something which can be done in a distributed manner, or say there is some theoretical work, and or in terms of, say, in my experience, say most of the computer science work. So the good thing for us is, most of the work is distributed, and you can just communicate over emails and things. But even in other life sciences domain, if there is some theoretical work which you can talk about on Skype meetings or discussions and then carry out from your own place, I think that is also a possibility, and that possibility has gained traction since the entire pandemic scenario. So that is definitely something to look forward to. Again, also when you're going for the research internships abroad, the funding becomes really important, right? So even if you go in one of the less costlier cities or countries, you would probably not, for one summer, you'll probably have to spend 2.5 to 3 lakhs approximately on your stay and your lodging and fooding and stuff like that. So going there for going overseas involves all of those logistics in place too. So definitely work from home, and this thing is definitely something to look at. I think I am basically done with most of the things that I plan to cover today. Is there so I think I'll be open for questions for the next, I think, 10 minutes or so, as much as the time allows. Should we mention previous internship if it's not related to the current internship? So that depends. If you have, say, if you're applying for it's always better to mention the things which are relevant. But just in case, say, you do not have anything as of now, or you do not have any relevant experience where you're applying, then do mention your other internships. It'll at least portray that you have done work, and then you have some experience, and then you are actually if that internship has, say, some sort of prestige to it, then it'll give then it'll also vouch that you are a competent student and things like that. So do mention your other internships as well, but if you have relevant internships to mention, you can skip that out. If any application asks for resume, and right now we don't have it because neither I have achieved any academic skills yet, nor I have any much curricular knowledge, so what can be done in that case? Okay, so even if you have just graduated from your first year, I think, if you're in first year right now, I agree, making a resume in your first semester would, I probably do not know, it might as well be an impossible task. But if you're in your second year right now, you would have done at least, I would say, 8 to 10 courses. So you can put your courses in there, and then maybe you can, if you do not have a lot, maybe you can talk about your previous education. Maybe you can put some of your achievements in your 10th grade or 12th grade, put your courses, put your course projects, maybe some extracurricular activity. I would say that, I'll just ask Professor Neelam to share a template of resume with you. If you actually begin and start noting these points down, I think you'll be able to fill at least one page of the resume. Is it a good idea to consider my own previous dissertation to build up a research proposal for upcoming internship? So that depends on the internship that you're applying for. If you're applying to a professor informally, then I think it's a good idea that, then again, it is actually going to highlight the fact that you are competent and you are interested in the domain. So then it's a good idea. But if you're applying to other organizations,
students for attending this meeting, and because it has shown that they are interested in doing internship and etc., it gives me energy. It's given me lots of energy to work hard for you people to organize other lectures and doing something else for you, so that you can do better in your life. As I allow students from first year to join my lab as an intern, I allow them to come and do work in my lab so that they can have something in their resume. You can all the students of different subjects can contact their professors for doing that, I think, because now you can understand how important it is to have a knowledge of research in a very starting from your first semester, so that you can do learn something and also to make your resume strong. Thank you very much, Amogh. Thanks a lot for giving your time. Thank you everyone.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for interacting, and this hopefully everyone is going to take something positive from this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.